Unit 2, Lesson 4. Kind of our learning target for today is we can classify types of equations and check equations using substitution. So let's take a look. So an equation is basically a statement that says two values are equal. So again, I like to think of it kind of like a scale. If you've kind of seen one of those old school scales, kind of, looks something like this. And so whatever's on one side of our scale, say I've got 3 rocks. On my other side of the scale, I got to have the same exact weight, the same amount of balance, because whatever is on it equals, everything's going to balance out. So again, if I were to draw my kind of scale like this, but I had way more rocks on one side than I did on the other side, it wouldn't be balanced, okay? One side would be heavier than the other side. This would not be equal, okay? This right here is equal because it's balanced. So as we look, we say, I got to determine whether these statements are true, false, or perhaps if it's got a variable, it may be an open sentence. I might not be sure what it is. So if I look and I say, hey, I want to simplify this just to see if it's true or false. 6 plus 12 is 18. So I look and say, hey, is my scale balanced? Are my things equal? And the answer to this one is yes. 18 does in fact equal 18. Now, if I look at part B, it says 6 equals 4 plus 3. Again, I'm going to separate my left side and my right side, and I'm going to say, hey, does 6 equal 7? Huh? No, that is not true. 6 does not equal 7. So I'm going to say false. And then as I look over here, I say, okay, 6y equals negative 3 plus 5y. Now, I could probably go through and solve this, but that's not what the question's asking. The question's just asking, is it true, false, or an open sentence? And because we don't know what this is, we don't necessarily have the same numbers on each side. If it said 6y equals 6y, we would say that that's true. But it says 6y equals negative 3 plus 5y. So because I'm not exactly sure what that is, I have to label this in open sentence because I haven't quite solved it yet. So let's take a look. Maybe we have to write some equations given some sort of math story or word problem. So I'm going to look and say write an equation for 9 times the opposite of 5 is 45. So 9 multiplied by the opposite of 5. The opposite of positive 5 is negative 5 equals 45. Now I need to think, 9 times the opposite of 5. That's what this says. 9 times the opposite of 5 is negative 5, equals 45. Now we got to think back to our rules. What is a positive number multiplied by a negative number? Does it equal a positive number? I hope you guys are all screaming, no, okay? Remember, when we have one happy person in the room and one sad person in the room, they're not going to get along very good. A positive times a negative always equals a negative, okay? So in this case, this statement would be false. We could correct this statement by saying, hey, 9 times -5, or 9 times the opposite of 5, is -45. So if I make this into a -45, I can correct the equation and make it a true statement where I'm balanced on both sides. This is a great way to check your work. So again, in algebra, oftentimes you can do this and like double check to make sure, yep, I absolutely 100% got the right answer. Or if you didn't get that, you may have to go back and say, I didn't quite get this. I have to check my work and maybe try again. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take, the question says, is 30 a solution to the equation 170 plus x equals 200? So they're basically saying x equals 30. And they want us to plug in every time we see an x, we're gonna plug in this number and see if we get an equal statement, if we get a balanced statement. So I'm gonna separate my left side and my right side, and I'm gonna say 170 plus 30 equals 200. 170 plus 30 does equal 200. And so the question is, does 200 equal 200? Well, of course, that is a true statement. So yes, 30 is a solution. I am balanced, right? I am balanced on both sides. I have the same exact thing on both sides. And let's take a look at kind of our last example here. A diver's equipment weighs 35 pounds. The diver plus the equipment weighs 165 pounds. Can the diver's weight be 200 pounds? So equipment, I'm just gonna kind of write it out in words. I've got equipment plus diver's weight equals 165. So the question is, I know the equipment is 35 pounds. I don't know how much the diver weighs, but I know the total is 165. So the question we're trying to solve is, can the diver's weight be 200? Question mark, question mark, question mark. So let's plug in what we know. I'm going to substitute 35 in. I'm going to use plus D because I'm not exactly sure. Well, actually, we know, so we're going to say, okay, this is asking me to check to see if 200 works. So I'm going to plug in 200 equals 165. Again, separating my left and my right side. 35 plus 200 is 235. Huh? That doesn't make sense. 235 does not balance out with 165. So can the diver's weight be 200 pounds? No. The diver's weight cannot be 200. LBS stands for pounds. And so in fact, if you were wondering, well, if the combined weighs 165, that would have to mean 35 plus 130 equals 165. So not even close. In order for this to be a true statement, the diver can only be 130 pounds. So not true unless the diver is